everyone, my name is Abby and thank you so much for practicing with me today. I've planned a class that's going to get really prep the body to get into side crow. So we're going to be doing lots of twists, lots of core work just to prep our body so we can try to achieve that arm balance today. So we are going to get started. If you do use blocks, if you need those throughout your balancing poses, or just for an extra little bit of assistance, go ahead and grab those, and we will start laying down on our backs in Shavasana. So just coming to lay down on your backs. And really, we're gonna give ourselves a few moments here to just really allow the body to settle, allow the body to land on the mat, allowing the mind as well to connect to the body, to your breath. You can have one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly just to feel the beat of your heart and the rise and fall of your belly. With every exhale, just try to allow your body to land even further. Thanking your body for bringing you onto your mat today. And thanking your mind for bringing that awareness and that stillness within the body and mind. Knowing that for the next little bit, this time on the mat is just for you. So removing any focus from anything else throughout your day, throughout your life, and just allow yourself to focus just on your movements and on your breath for the rest of the class. And all together, we'll take one deep inhale through your nose. And just at the top, hold it gently. And then as you exhale, side out. Two more of those. Inhale deeply through your nose. And then as you exhale, sigh it out. Last one, inhaling deeply. And sigh. Now you can feel free to keep your eyes closed here just as we begin. On your next breath, just drawing your legs back together if they were met with distance apart. And just drawing your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a good squeeze here, a good hug. Again, another moment, another opportunity to really thank your body for bringing yourself onto the mat today. Maybe rolling from side to side. Just noticing how you're feeling, what sensations you've got going on today. Having that awareness and then just allowing those thoughts to let go. Knowing that hopefully after this class you'll feel better, more loose, more lubricated throughout the muscles, the joints. And just bring your body back to stillness. We're gonna extend the left leg long down onto our mat. That left leg is strong, your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling here, and we'll take wind relieving pose on the right side. So drawing that right knee in towards the chest. Slight tuck of the chin to make sure that your spine is nice and long onto the mat. And you're just drawing that right knee in towards the body. If you do notice that the knee is coming down onto the belly easily, you can always work on drawing that knee out towards your armpit here. Just being conscious of any unevenness of the hips. You want both hips to be firmly planted on the mat. And don't forget to ignite that left leg, keeping it nice and strong for your stability. Taking one more inhale breath here. Now as you exhale, extend that right leg long. You can feel free to point and flex the right leg as you extend it, just working on feeling everything, feeling that hamstring lengthen out. And then option here is to stay here without any grip and just breathing into that length within your right leg. Or option to take that hamstring stretch a bit further as you grab onto the back of your hamstring, maybe the back of your calf, your ankle. If it is available, you can always reach for your toes as well. Feeling free too to grab a strap or a towel, something that will act like a strap, to lengthen out your arms and just get that reach. Both legs are nice and strong. The more flexed those right toes are towards your face, the deeper that stretch you'll feel in your calf. So just breathing there, taking it as your body feels necessary. We are just warming up, so not pushing that hamstring, just breathing into it gently. Maybe on those exhales, there's availability for a little bit more depth. Finishing your last inhale breath here. And then on your next exhale, just gently releasing that right leg. Take a bend into that right knee. That right arm is going to come out, straight out from your right shoulder, and then you're going to bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee. Cross that right leg across the body over towards the left side, and just look over your right shoulder here, just coming into a gentle twist. Every exhale, feel as if you're going heavier. Again, take this nice and gently. We are just warming up, so going to the depth that feels best for you. Really trying to connect with that breath, allowing it to guide the poses. Taking one more inhale breath there. And as you exhale, bring your head back through center. Gently allow that leg to come back. And we'll just do all of that on the other side. So extending that right leg long this time, finding the engagement, and then on your next inhalation, drawing that left knee in towards the body. Taking our wind relieving pose here. Taking a few moments to really settle into the pose and then finding your depth. That right leg is nice and strong and long down on the mat. Those hips are even, equal weight between the hips. Maybe allowing that left knee to guide out towards your left armpit. Finishing your last inhale here. And as you exhale, extending that left leg long. Again, feel free to point and flex. Do any organic movement that feels best for that left leg, beginning into this pose. And then go for your depth, either holding on to the back of the hamstring, your calf, or maybe reaching up towards the toes. Just really gently breathing. Every exhale, feel that hamstring open up further. And if you don't have a strap or a towel handy, always feeling free to take a bend into that left knee as you hold onto the leg, still breathing into that hamstring to open it up if the sensation in that hamstring is a bit too much for you today. And on your next exhalation, just gently releasing the grip of that left leg, taking a bend into that left knee now. Left arm extends out towards the left. Right hand comes to the outside of the left knee, and we'll cross that left leg across our body over towards the right side, coming again into our twist on the opposite side. Using your exhales to go heavier within that left leg, that left shoulder. Allowing that breath to open up deeper into the twist. And gently on your next inhale, drawing your head back through center and your leg as well. And just bring those legs back in towards your chest. Give yourself a good squeeze. And we'll start to fire up and ignite that fire within our core now. So just grabbing onto the backs of your legs and just taking a few rock and rolls up and down your spine until you land at the top, just coming to a seat. We're just going to take a few of my favorite core drills throughout the practice. So this one is great. I probably do it all the time. Navasana to low Navasana or boat pose. So option is, we're going to sit up really nice and tall. Most important thing here within this pose is to keep your spine nice and tall. If you ever notice that you're rolling weight onto your tailbone and rocking back, you're releasing the strength of our core. So always feeling free to bring your hands down onto the mat to give you a bit of extra support. And we'll come into it. So as you inhale, we're gonna come into boat pose. Your legs are gonna lift off of the floor, knees are bent. Option, you can come into the full posture where your legs are straight and arms are lengthening out. Hands can be down beside you, or the knees can be bent here. I'm just gonna breathe here. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders are relaxed down and back. You're trying to tuck that tailbone in, find that length from your lower spine. Inhaling here. Now as you exhale, lower down to low Navasana. Your feet and your shoulders are at a hover. Your belly button is drawing in and up, trying to keep that belly from puffing out. Maybe noticing a bit of a shake. I definitely am. Breathing into it. On your next inhale, lift back up, finding your boat pose, your variation that you're taking today. And just keeping your breath nice and controlled. On that next breath, gently lower down again to your low boat. Those legs are super strong, really nice and active, allowing that your legs to support and the strength to come through your hips all the way up through your core, keeping your legs connected with that upper body. For one more inhale and low boat. And exhale, nice and controlled, lift back up to Navasana or high boat. Really deep breaths here. Again, trying to keep those breaths as even as you can, breathing into your legs, your hip flexors. That's where I feel it most for one more. Next breath, lower down to your low boat. Shoulders are lifting off the floor, legs are at a hover. And next inhale, lift those legs high, Navasana. And then just releasing down, crossing over onto your hands and knees, coming into a tabletop position. So just really breathing deeply there. Maybe wiggling out in your hips a little bit, seeing where you feel that the most. I notice this, the front of my hips within that posture a lot. So taking notice, everyone feels it very different places. While we're in our tabletop position, let's warm up into our wrists a little bit since we are going to be getting into some arm balances. So just really taking notice of where the weight is within your hands, really grounding down, pressing through that whole palm, particularly that little point between your index finger and thumb. Breathing here with your shoulders stacked over your wrists, your hips are stacked over your knees, and then we're just gonna take rocks back and forth. So making sure this entire time that your palm is staying completely down onto the floor. onto your mat, but you're just rocking back and forward, like overextending your shoulders past your wrists, and then allowing those to come back. Just with breath, rocking back and forth, however fast or slow you would like it. Just a few more times. Really being aware of where that weight is going within your hands. And then coming back to neutral, those shoulders are stacked. And then we'll just we're gonna flip our palms away, the opposite direction. So your fingers are actually gonna point your knees. If you can do this, palms are facing down. Slight bend into your elbows if you do notice you have a lot of hyperextension in your elbows. I do have that, so you're just trying to be conscious and aware of that, making sure you're not locking into those joints. And we're gonna do the same exact thing. So shifting forward gently, and then gently back. Trying to keep your palm down on the ground. You may be feeling a really nice sensation in the backs of your wrists, into your forearms. Again, just nice and slowly rocking back and forth. Trying to keep that palm down the entire time. If it does feel good though, you can gently start to rock further back, allowing the base of that palm to lift, maybe rocking back and even getting a bit of a stretch into the fingers. And then from there, just bring your hands back to neutral. You can sit back on your heels for a moment and just give your wrists a shake if you need, maybe balling them up into fists and doing some wrist circles, anything to just gently release that. And we'll come onto our hands and knees and we'll tuck our toes and let's find a downward facing dog. We're gonna get right into it, making sure we're flowing, keeping that heart rate up, really getting warm for the arm balance preparation. On your next inhale, from a downward facing dog, just nice and slowly walk your hands, or walk your feet to meet your hands. Allowing your feet to meet at the top of the mat together or hip width distance apart. Bend into those knees and just allow your upper body to hang heavy. Taking a nice ragdoll forward fold. One of my favorite things to add into any flow, any class, any time of day really. Getting a nice deep stretch all the way from our backs of the heels up into our neck. Arms are heavy or grabbing for opposite elbows, whatever feels best. And on your next inhale, taking a bend into your knees, the slowest you can go, roll vertebrae by vertebrae all the way up. Allowing your head to come up last. And just drawing your feet together, if they aren't already, heel slightly apart. And just breathing here in your nice strong mountain pose. Closing your eyes, noticing what you're feeling, what sensations you've got going on. Again, taking awareness if you notice anything is popping into your mind, just take notice of that and then let it go. If your eyes are closed, you can gently open them up and we'll get right into it, into some B here. So as you inhale, reaching those arms high, sinking those hips low, finding chair pose, one breath. And as you exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, lift halfway, creating that nice length within your spine. As you exhale, hands plant down, you can either step or jump back, move through your chaturanga. Taking either cobra or upward facing dog, being gentle on the spine for the first time, warming up. And then as you exhale, lifting your hips high, downward facing dog. We're doing some B here, so right away, right foot steps forward, warrior one. This is all one smooth breath, inhaling to the top. And then as you exhale, framing that right foot, step that right foot to meet the left, chaturanga. Inhale up into your back bend. And exhale, lifting your hips high, downward facing dog. Right away, left foot steps forward, inhaling, coming to the top, warrior one. Nice one long, smooth inhale. And then nice one long, smooth exhale as you move through your chaturanga. Inhale for your back bend. And exhale, lift your hips high, downward facing dog. And breathing there. So if you do feel you need a bit of movement within your down dog today, just bending into your knees if you need. Or finding that stillness, finding that awareness, just taking notice again of what you're feeling. For one more inhale breath. As you exhale, looking to the top of the mat, either step, jump, or float all the way to the top. Right away, inhale to lengthen out and lift halfway, create the tall spine. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale, find your chair pose. And exhale, extend those legs, mountain. Breathing here. And we're getting right into it today, so taking a second variation of Sun B. As you inhale, allowing those hips to come low. Tailbone tucks, find your chair. As you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, create that length in your spine. As you exhale, hands plant down, either step or jump back, right away into your chaturanga. Inhale, lift, back bend. And exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Now this is where it will get different. Right away, inhale, right foot steps forward to the top of the mat, coming into a high lunge now. Inhaling here for your high lunge. As you exhale, hands come down to prayer, extend that heart forward, extended lunge. One inhale breath here in your extended lunge. Now as you exhale, find a revolve variation. That left elbow is going to come to the outside of your right knee, finding a twist. Only here for one breath, so breathing deeply in. And as you exhale, unravel that twist, plant your hands down, step right foot to meet left, move through a flow. Finding your back bend on the inhale. And as you exhale, lifting your hips high for downward facing dog. Right away, left foot steps forward on that inhalation, finding your high lunge here. Arms will reach high. As you exhale, hands come down through heart center, extend that upper body forward. One inhale breath here, find that extension within your spine. And then as you exhale, right elbow comes to the outside of the left knee, find your twist. Inhaling deeply here. And then exhale, unravel, plant those hands down to frame the left foot, step left foot to meet the right, option to move through a flow or meet us back in downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, breathing here. Trying to find that one straight, long line of energy from the base of your palms all the way up to your hips. And then from your hips to your heels. Using your breath here, as you inhale, lift those hips high and look to the top of the mat. And then as you exhale, either jump step or float all the way to the top. Right away, inhale to lift and lengthen, creating that tall spine. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale, hips sink low, chair pose. And exhale, extend those legs. One full cycle of breath just to reset, taking notice with that extra movement within the body, how you're feeling from even 5 minutes ago to now. And we'll come back into our chair. So as you bend in through those knees, allowing those arms to reach high. And actually, we'll take a moment here. Bring your hands to your hips. Noticing if you notice that your sit bones and your tailbone is kind of sticking out towards the back behind you. Tuck that tailbone in and under. Create that long spine starting from your lower back all the way up to your neck. Arms will reach as you inhale. As you exhale, bring those hands down through heart center and sink a little lower. Allowing those hips to shift back, weight shifts back towards your heels. Inhale here, create length through your spine. And as you exhale, coming into a twist once again. Left elbow comes to the outside of your right knee. So finding revolved chair pose here now. Always an option to bring your right hand to your lower back, just to take notice if your hips are coming into the twist at all. You can also take a peek down at your knees, and if your left knee is scooching forward, try to draw that knee back in place, align with the right, only allowing the twist to come from your spine here. Always an option too to open up those arms, really extending, finding that twist here for one more inhale breath. And as you exhale, unravel that twist and breathe here through center in your chair. Inhale here, create length. And then as you exhale, twist to the left. Right elbow comes to the outside of the left knee. Again, option taking your left hand to your lower back. Taking notice if that twist is coming out from your hips, only from the mid to upper spine. Keeping those hips low, allowing to work your shoulders to stack on top of one another. Maybe extending those arms open if you did it on the other side. Breathing deeply, twisting open for one more inhale breath. And as you exhale, come back through to center, release, and fold forward over your legs. Inhale, create length within your spine, lifting halfway. And then as you exhale, just folding forward. Option here to allow your feet to come hip-width distance apart. And we'll just take a nice forward fold here. Maybe giving your legs a bit of a shake out from, if you're really feeling them, from your chairs. Your variation of the forward fold. So if you feel better to take this as a passive ragdoll, just breathe there. Just being aware of the weight within your feet, making sure there's equal weight between your toes and your heels. If you are taking a more engaged forward fold, as you inhale, think of lengthening through your spine. As you exhale, if it's there, think of folding a little bit deeper over those legs. Just taking 2 more breaths here. Maybe inhale, find that length. And exhale, creating that space to fold deeper. 1 more inhale. And exhale. Inhale, releasing that fold, lifting halfway, create that length. And then as you exhale, hands plant down, either step or jump back right away into chaturanga. Inhaling to find your back bend. And as you exhale, lifting your hips high, find a downward facing dog. Now for this next sequence, go ahead and grab your blocks if you do need a little bit of extra support. From our downward facing dog, we'll inhale to lengthen our right leg to the sky. And as you exhale, step that right foot through between the hands. Find your high lunge. Inhaling to reach high, deep bend into that right knee. That left leg extends back behind you. Arms reach high. Self-adjustment here. You can always take a bit of a bend into that left knee. Tuck your tailbone in and under, making sure we've got length, starting again from our lower back all the way up to the crown of our head. And then re-extend that left leg, maybe noticing a bit more of an intensity within that left hip in the stretch. Or just feeling a bit more grounded, a bit more supported. Inhaling here to extend through those arms. Now as you exhale, hands come down through heart center. Extend that body forward and find that left elbow to the outside of the right knee, finding our revolved high lunge once again. So we're really finding our twists here today. Like we did in chair pose, you can always feel free to bring your right hand to your lower back, taking notice if there's any twist coming into your hips. Only allowing that twist to come from your spine here. Every inhale, expanding that stomach with your breath. And then as you exhale, maybe going deeper into that twist. On your next inhale, unravel the body. Straighten out that left leg and just step that left foot in slightly so we can comfortably plant our left foot down. Both feet are flat on the floor. Those left toes are pointed out at a 45-degree angle though. We want our hips to be nice and square to the front of the room, the front of the mat. As you inhale, arms are going to reach high. And then as you exhale, pressing through both feet, folding forward over that right leg. Left hand will come down to the mat beside your right foot. Right arm reaches high. Revolve pyramid pose. So noticing that feeling within that right hamstring here. Trying to keep your weight equal between both of your feet. And again, only allowing the twist to come from your spine and trying not to bring your hips into the twist. You want both of your hips to be square to the front of the mat. Taking one more inhale here. Now as you exhale, you can bring your right hand down to your lower back. Bending into that right knee, we're going to come into revolved half moon. So bend into that right foot. Left hand will come a foot or so in front of the right foot. And then you're either hand on block or hand on floor. Press off that back leg, come into balance on the right side. So we do want to come into a twist here. So with that right hand on your lower back, maybe starting to open up that shoulder, opening up in through that spine, twisting open, really twisting out today, preparing for that side crow. Breathing into that back leg, maybe extending that right arm high for one more inhale breath. And as you exhale, rebend into that right knee, send that left foot to the back of your mat, planting your hands down. Option to move through a flow or meet us back in a downward facing dog. Just keeping the connection with your breath as we move through that sequence. And just resetting here in your downward facing dog. Coming onto our left side now. Inhale, lift and lengthen left leg to the sky. Exhale, left foot steps through to the top of the mat, finding your high lunge. So taking a few moments here, really finding your stability, doing those little self-adjustments, making sure you've got a deep bend into that left knee. Left knee is stacked over the ankle. Slight bend into that right knee so you can tuck that tailbone in and under, finding the length through your spine, and then re-extending that right leg long. Inhale to reach those arms high. Inhale deeply to extend. As you exhale, hands come down through heart center. Extend that upper body forward and we'll twist. Right elbow comes to the outside of your left thigh. Trying to be nice and stable here. Always looking for your twists. It is always working toward looking past your top shoulder, but if it feels better on your neck, feel free to look wherever is best for you. Maybe down at the floor for balance, maybe just ahead of you. Whatever feels best within your neck, within your body. Inhale here in your revolve lunge twist. And then as you exhale, unravel the body, straighten out both of your legs, preparation for revolved pyramid. Left leg is straight as well as the right. The hips are nice and square. Both planting down into your feet, making sure we're not locking into our joints at all. Inhale to arms lengthen and reach high. And then as you exhale, start to fold forward over that left leg. Once you're at halfway, bring right hand down to the floor or a block. Left hand will reach high, or feeling free to start the pose off with your left hand on your lower back. Just noticing where your hips are shifting, and then maybe opening up and extending through that left hand, that left arm. Just breathing deeply. Both legs are strong, even though we're taking a more of a sensation of stretch within this pose. Even though we're stretching, you still want to be nice and supported. Taking one more inhale breath here. Now as you exhale, look down on the mat, bend into that left knee, right hand comes forward above the mat, and come to balance, revolved half moon. Right leg lifts, right hand is on the floor, finding that left hand to your lower back. And then once you have your balance, maybe exploring your variation. Opening up your left arm, maybe keeping your left hand down on the lower back. Just opening up into your twist, but keeping those hips nice and square. Breathing into that lifted leg. That right leg is just as strong as if you were standing on it, and that left leg is strong for one more inhale. And as you exhale, release that, framing your left foot. Option to flow or meet us back in a downward facing dog. Just keeping that connection with your breath, with your mind. And just taking a few breaths to reset here, because we're going to go through that sequence we just did, but just a little bit faster, one movement to one breath. So we're really feeling open, feeling twisted, feeling supported. And we'll get into it. So from your downward facing dog, as you inhale, reach and lengthen your right leg to the sky. As you exhale, step that right foot through, high lunge. Inhaling to reach those arms high. As you exhale, hands come down through heart center and extend that upper body forward. Inhale here. Now move into the twist as you exhale. Left elbow comes to the outside of your right knee. Inhaling here into your twist, breathing deeply there. As you exhale, unravel from that twist. Straighten out both of your legs. Arms are reaching high. Exhale to fold forward over that right leg. Left hand plants down beside right foot. Open up into your revolved pyramid here. Using that exhale breath to keep landed. On your next inhale, bend into that right knee. Left hand plants ahead of the mat. Find your revolved half moon. One full cycle of breath here. Stay here for your inhale. And then as you exhale, unravel the body, send that left foot back to the mat. Step right foot to meet the left and move through your flow. Inhales to find your back bend, opening up. And use your exhale to lift your hips high, downward facing dog. Right away, left side, let's not lose that connection with our breath. As you inhale, lift and lengthen left leg high. Exhale, high lunge. Taking a moment, inhaling here, find your lunge. As you exhale, hands come down through heart center, extend that body forward. Inhale here. As you exhale, find your twist. twist. Right elbow comes to the outside of the left knee. One full cycle of breath here. And gently unraveling that twist, straightening out both your legs. Inhale to extend those arms forward and high, And then as you exhale, folding forward over that left leg. Right hand comes down beside left foot. Extend that left arm high. Inhale here in your revolved half moon. As you exhale, bend into that left knee. Right hand lands high above the mat. Revolved half moon. Finding your balance, one full cycle of breath here. Release those hands to frame your left foot. Send that left foot to meet the right. Move through a flow. From your downward facing dog, staying here if you would like to rest, or feeling free to take a child's pose. Allowing your knees to come down onto the mat, either mat width distance or knees together. Arms can be down beside your feet or extending forward. Just trying to get back to your breath, finding that awareness within your inhales and exhales. Slowing that heart rate down. Feeling the warmth of the body, feeling that spine, the benefits of the twisting we've been doing. And just taking 3 more breaths here in your child's pose. 3 of the longest breaths that you can take. And once you finish those breaths, you can lift your hips high into downward facing dog, and we'll actually walk our feet up to meet our hands coming to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway, creating that length within your spine. Exhale to fold forward. And inhale, sweeping those arms high, finding your mountain pose once again. So we're gonna come into another pretty fun Navasana boat pose drill for our core, but it is an entry from chair pose. So we're gonna be taking our chair pose, and then with breath, we're gonna see if we can lower down as controlled as we can, lowering all the way down onto our seat. We'll find and breathe in our Navasana for a few breaths. From Navasana, we'll roll back just to gain the momentum. We'll roll back onto our back. Find that momentum to maybe lift back up into our chair. So it's a pretty fun drill. You'll kind of see where maybe your weaknesses are, if mobility is maybe an issue within your ankles. Just trying to do as best you can. Always an option, instead of chair pose, you can just breathe deeply into Malasana. That should give you a bit of extra space to sit your hips down onto the mat. But we'll get into it. So toes together, heels slightly apart. From here in your mountain pose, even here, tuck that tailbone in and under. Belly button draws in. Find that strength within your core and that tall spine. Now as you inhale, reaching your arms high, and as you exhale, sink down into your chair. Inhale here, find your length. Now as you exhale, see if you can nice and slowly sit your hips lower, 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 lower. Maybe lowering your bum down onto the mat, and right away, once your bum lands, find your boat pose, Navasana. Breathing here. Either legs straight or bent, whatever feels best. Just for 3 breaths. Now, if you wanted to take a look at me for this first one, just to see how the movement is, you want to try to make this transition back up to chair as smooth as you can. So grabbing onto the backs of your hamstrings here, rocking back and forth onto your back, maybe taking a few rock and rolls, and then seeing if you can find your chair, landing back on your feet, arms are reaching high, and inhaling to come back up, chair pose. Inhale here, and whatever that looks like, do not at all worry, knowing that it will get smoother as you go. Inhale here in your chair. Now as you exhale, nice and slowly, bending through your knees, seeing if you can keep those hips nice and low. As you sit your bum back, lift those feet high, chair pose, Navasana. Keeping that core strong, belly button is in. Shoulders are relaxed and down away from your ears. Now let's rock. Let's see if we can go back into chair. So bending into those knees, rock back and forth, maybe a few times, just to see if we can gain momentum. Once you're there, plant your feet. See if you can lift those hips off the mat and just nice and slowly coming back into your chair. Core is strong, you're doing great. We're just gonna do that 3 more times. So every time trying to get more smooth. Inhale, find that length through your spine, sink those hips lower. As you exhale, nice and slowly, lowering down those hips, deep bend into your knees. See if you can settle those hips down, lifting your feet high. Navasana. And let's rock. Gain that momentum. Use your breath. Find your chair. On your inhale, plant your feet. Lift those hips. Come back up to stand. Using your breath, exhale to settle down into your chair. Taking an inhale breath. Next, exhale. Lower those legs. Nice and slow. Nice and controlled. Settle those hips down. Lift those feet. Navasana. Second last round here. You're doing amazing. Exhaling to release. Rocking back and forth. Gain that momentum. Next inhale, plant your feet. Lift your hips. Find your chair. Exhaling here, now last one. Inhale, create that length. Find that strength within your spine. Support that upper body as you use your exhales to nice and slowly lower down. Allow those hips to lower. Lift those feet high. Navasana. Last one. One more inhale breath here. And exhale. Just rock back onto your back. Maybe draw your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a good squeeze. Try to reconnect with your breath if you've lost it there. That one's always such a fun one to play around with. You may just be flopping around, maybe not be so smooth, but just know that it will get there once your mobility opens up, once your core is there. After every time you do it, it will get better and better. And just releasing the grip of your legs, and we'll take a few, again, rock and rolls up and down our spine. To come up to a seat, and we'll actually come to stand in our mountain pose, Tadasana once again. So just give your legs a little shake if you need a reset. Really feeling that body warm and ready, so this is amazing. And we'll get into, we'll get into our side crow here. So I will just shift onto a different area of my mat just so you can see from the front, a bit easier to kind of see what's happening. So to get into our side crow, my favorite way to get into it is from chair pose. So toes together, heels slightly apart. On your next inhale, find that chair pose once again. As you exhale, draw hands down through heart center. Allow those hips to go back a little bit further as your upper body extends further forward. Inhale here. Now as you exhale, left elbow comes to the outside of your right knee, finding this twist. Now option, you can stay here if you don't want to go into this arm balance here today. If you do want to go into that arm balance, just finding a deeper twist for a few breaths, really opening up. Again, taking notice if your hips are moving forward, try to go keep those hips in line with your body. Inhaling to extend. Now as you exhale, deep bend into your knees, just so you're almost coming into a toe sit type of variation. So your knees are together this entire time as you work into our arm balance. You want to make sure that your legs are squeezing together almost as one unit, just because it will be much easier on your core to keep your legs together and keep that strength concentrated on where it needs to be. So you're in your nice little kind of chair toe squat here, and our back should be nice and warmed up. We've been doing a lot of twists to prepare for this. So you're twisting open towards the right side. You want to see if you can place both of your hands comfortably on the right side of your body. So eventually with those twisting postures that we did, we're opening up our chest over towards the right side of the mat as well. Now, two options for your side crow here. Hands are going to be shoulder width distance apart. Your elbows, you want to work on getting like a shape within your chaturanga arms in your side crow arms, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is when you want to start to lean forward, you do want to work on getting a nice right angle from in your arm, just so that your elbows are stacked over your wrists, and then you're really leaning forward, gaining trust in your body that you're going to keep your body lifted. Now, if you are just starting out in your crow, I'll actually just turn to this side so you can see. If you're starting out in crow, in your side crow, and you're just working towards it for the first time, maybe today, or have only done it a few times, one thing to kind of, a little trick to begin is eventually within your arm balance, both of your arms will not have the weight of your body on them. Only within the full posture, only your front arm is going to carry the weight of your legs. But if you are just starting out, if you can, it kind of closes the body off. You're taking a shorter stance. But if you can, with your feet, with your hands hip width, shoulder width distance apart, your left elbow will be up by your knees, and then your right elbow will be back by your right hip. So both elbows are connecting with the leg here. Now you've got a bit more support, so when you start to shift forward, your arms are supporting a bigger chunk of your leg, so it will give you a better option, a bit easier to lift your feet off of the mat. Eventually, we do want that right elbow to be unsupported, not supporting the hip at all, and you're using the strength of your core to keep your hips nice and high. So we'll come into it. So if you haven't been playing around with it already, from our chair, we're coming to a twist towards the right side. You're planting your hands down, at least shoulder width distance apart, coming up, trying to get your legs as much as you can onto the backs of your arms, above your elbow as possible, and then just breathing into it. So you're just going to start to work on shifting your weight into your hands, maybe lifting that top foot, and then lifting the other one, and breathing there. Really twisting the body open, shoulders are square to the floor, and those legs are extending out to the side. Breathing here, and then coming out of it. Taking your time as you go into it and as you exit. Just resetting your body for a moment. Trying that out for a few more breaths. We're just resetting, shaking out your wrists a little bit, just seeing how it feels before we hop onto the other side. So we'll reset and we'll find our chair pose once again to try on the left side now. And you may notice that one side is a little bit stronger than the other. So just being aware of that, taking notice of that, and just knowing maybe on that side that isn't as strong, you can just hold it for a few extra breaths, giving a bit more love to that side that does need the extra love, maybe to even out the body a bit more. So coming onto side crow on our left side now, finding your chair pose, inhale to settle those hips low, tuck that tailbone in and under. As you exhale, hips sink lower, hands come down to heart center, find that twist. Right elbow comes to the outside of the left elbow, opening up. Opening up completely. If you would like to really extend, really breathe deeply into that spine, twisting open. And let's get into it. So taking a deeper bend into your knees, finding both of your hands planting down beside on the left side of the body. Now choosing your poison. So either hands are always going to be shoulder width distance apart. You're either going to make contact with both of your elbows on your left thigh, and then you're leaning forward, trusting your hands are going to support you. Ignite that core to lift one foot off and then maybe the other. Being supported, both of your elbows are taking the weight of your legs, so just trying to tune into that core as much as you can, opening up through that twist. Always an option if you want to explore both. Taking that other variation where your hands are still shoulder width distance apart, taking the full variation, shifting that body weight forward, lifting one foot then the other, finding that twist. Shoulders are squared to the left side of the mat, and feet are lifting high. Gently coming down whenever you're ready, unraveling that twist. Breathing deeply, taking a few more breaths here if you do want to take a few more moments to play with it. If not, we'll just meet in a nice, my favorite, ragdoll forward fold. To just let your upper body hang heavy. Maybe taking a few wrist stretches here. And then we will all meet at the top of the mat in a Tadasana here. Resetting. We'll just flow to really kind of stretch out, reset the body after that arm balance. So much fun. As you inhale, reach those arms high. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, creating length, lift halfway. Exhale, hands down, step or jump back, move through a flow. Inhaling through your back bend. And exhale, lifting your hips high, downward facing dog. And from our downward facing dog, we're just gonna look to the top of the mat and just either jump, step, or float through to come to a seat. So coming to a seat, sitting up really nice and tall. We're just gonna close the class down here. Just a few hip openers, a few back bends just to stretch out our core, which we did put a lot of focus on today. So with your knees bent, feet are firmly planted on the floor. From here, just arms are extending forward, and we'll really nice and slowly take as long as you can to come to laying on your back. And once you've landed there on your back, just taking whatever honestly feels best within your body, just to take 5 breaths to really reset, reground, kind of refocus, knowing that we are closing the class down now, with still a few more poses to go, but just trying to wipe away any of the standing sequence that we did, any of the arm balance that we did, just allowing that to let go and bring more awareness into your body. You can either allow your knees to tilt tilt in towards one another. You can take Supta Bakasana. You can extend your legs, just whatever feels best, just to reset. And then we will just wake that body back up. So let's come into bridge pose here with the option to go into wheel. We will be doing 2 rounds of this back bend here. So for bridge pose or Sattu Bandhasana, you're gonna bend into your knees, allowing your feet to come flat onto the floor. You want your feet to be hip width distance apart at least, and just close enough to the, you want your heels to be close enough to your hips that you can just tickle the backs of the heels with your hands. Grounding down through your feet, igniting those legs, being really nice and firm. As you inhale, start to lift your hips higher, allowing your spine to come off of the mat. Option here to bring your hands behind you and rolling your shoulders underneath, just making sure there's no weight coming onto your neck here. Feeling free to, you don't have to keep your hands interlaced. But just from here, breathing into your hips, pressing through your feet to lift your hips higher. Checking in to make sure that your knees aren't flaring out. You want to imagine squeezing a block between your legs to keep the support of your legs. Your glutes are strong, but you're not squeezing them. You still want to create space through that lower spine. And just breathing really deeply into that belly, stretching that core out for 1 more inhale. And as you exhale, nice and slowly, allowing your spine to come all the way down onto the mat. Just a few breaths here to reset. Now option to take a second set of bridge pose. If you're feeling nice and warm and you do have wheel pose within your practice, I invite you to practice that with me today. So for wheel pose, your hands are going to come up beside your ears. Fingers are going to be pointing down towards your shoulders. And when you lift up into your wheel, you want to think as best you can, keeping your elbows towards one another. Now option, you can lift all the way up, pressing through your hands and lifting straight up into the back bend. Or you can always do what I'm doing as I press through my hands to bring the crown of my head onto the floor, making sure that I'm really properly executing the alignment here, and then use that strength to press through my hands and lifting the rest of my body high into that beautiful deep Urdhva Dhanurasana wheel pose here. So you're pressing through your feet, you're working on guiding those shoulders to stack over your wrists, really bending deeply, opening up through that those shoulders, that heart. And you can always play with it, either keeping those feet where they are and slowly extending those legs straight, coming into almost like a teardrop or wave shape. Or you can always work on coming into a deeper bend by walking your feet maybe a little bit closer towards your hands as you keep those shoulders stacked over your wrists. And you're breathing deeply. Taking a few more breaths in this variation, whatever variation you are in, if you're in wheel or bridge pose. 1 more inhale. Now as you exhale, if you're in wheel, tuck that chin in towards your chest, bend in through your elbows, and nice and slowly allow your head, vertebrae by vertebrae, to come down onto the mat. And just once your spine has completely landed, just relaxing your arms down. You can either bring them to the sides or one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And just allow your feet to go mat width distance apart as you allow your knees to tilt in towards one another. This is a really nice pose to just, no movement, just to reset, allowing the spine to be neutral. After those bends that we did, we want to bring focus and awareness there. And just breathe. then just nice and slowly drawing your legs back towards one another. We'll take a few hip openers here to really reset the body before we come into our final pose, Shavasana. So drawing your knees in towards the body, give yourself another really nice hug. And we'll move into happy baby here. So bending into your knees if they aren't already, allowing your feet to start to point up towards the sky or the ceiling. And you're gonna grab onto, I prefer grabbing onto the insides of my feet, but always have the option, you can grab onto the inside or outside. Whatever feels best and most organic to your body. Everyone feels a bit different. One grip may feel better for you. So just finding those grip on the feet. You want to think of keeping your feet pointing up towards the sky as you work on dropping those knees out towards your armpits. Opening up into that lower spine, breathing into those hips. Check in here if you do notice that your tailbone is lifting off the floor at all. Try to release the grip of your feet a little bit more so you can ground that tailbone back down onto the floor. And then just taking it from there, being cautious to make sure that we're not lifting our spine at all. You want to keep your spine fully grounded down onto the mat. And again, if it's not your tailbone, maybe taking notice if your shoulders are lifting off the floor. Again, release the stretch to reset that, making sure that we're nice and grounded. And you can stay here for as long as you would like. You can also feel free to wiggle from one side to the other, taking like an actual little happy baby, maybe rocking from side to side. Just exploring a bit of movement if you would like. Just 3 more breaths here. And once you finish that last breath, you can really slowly release the grip of your feet and just bring your feet back down to the floor. Knees are together. Now from here, if you would like, you can go straight into your final Shavasana, your final resting pose, or we can take Supta Bakasana. So another nice gentle hip opener here. As you draw your feet towards one another, your knees are going to fall out to either side, allowing your knees to open up, your legs are opening up like a butterfly. Being really nice and heavy within those legs, maybe testing, maybe moving your feet a bit closer towards your hips or a bit further away. Again, whatever feels best for you. Always self-adjust to make the pose feel better within your body. The arms can extend long down beside you. You can bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart, or other option, coming into the full pose where you're grabbing, your arms are above your head and you're grabbing for opposite elbows, whatever feels best. Just closing the class down now, trying to find that nice restful position. Every exhale, allowing your body to go more calm, be more stable, be more heavy and supported. Now option here to stay here in your Supta Bakasana as your final resting pose, or gently joining me in your final pose, Shavasana. When you come out of this pose, just drawing your hands to the outside of your legs and just using your hands to help help close your legs up like a book, drawing those knees back towards one another. Extending one leg at a time, nice and long down onto your mat. Finding as the most comfortable position for your body, taking up as much space as you possibly could want in your final pose, corpse pose Shavasana. Allowing your breath to come back to neutral. Allowing your mind to only be aware of the rise and fall of your belly. Not at all trying to rush this posture, these moments as you're here. Be here now. Stay here for as long as you would like. I thank you so much for joining me today, wherever you are. Have a fantastic day. Namaste.